Welcome to the Real Estate Show on KMED. March the 12th of 2016 is our date. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys, with you. We're both real estate brokers with John L. Scott in Southern Oregon, and we get together with you once a week here on KMED to talk about all sorts of real estate-related topics and issues. And well, today we go down a different road, Joe. A fun thing coming up. Some of the, real estate isn't always just work, right? It's a lot of work. Right. And we have playtime sometimes.
We have some outstanding people in our local industry that make some outstanding contributions to the community and above and beyond, and to get together to make things happen for people. It's always neat to be able to talk about that because we've had countless examples of things like that in our experience here.
Well, we're hoping you're having a good weekend as well. Jill Tompkins is a business development representative from First American Title here in the Rogue Valley. And you've been in the business a long time. First of all, welcome to the show, Jill. Nice to have you here.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, First American Title, I bet you guys, I would think that your offices are like the title companies all around are probably pretty busy this time of the year.
We are extremely busy, not only with the high volume of business in our valley, but also with new regulations that have come down over the past few months that pretty much change up the way things are closing now. So it's a double challenge.
Yeah, we've been chatting with our closing agents about those new changes as we go over that and with the clients as well. Yeah, everybody's trying to comply and get up to speed with all of that.
It's a wonderful development for the consumer because it is a double check on the lender part and the real estate agent and the title and escrow. And we're all working together as a team. So it's very important that we communicate. And the new changes have put that into place.
And how has we were originally, all told to expect add 2 more weeks, to closings when you would write them up. Is the closings that you're experiencing, say at First American, Jill, are you getting them done within 30 days, or is the TRID rules extending them out? Should we still be extending them out if we're thinking about buying or selling, knowing that that's still out there?
I think prudently you should still extend them out. We haven't even been in this program for a year yet.
Right.
And so there are going to be some little nuances that we need to work on all sides. Cash deals, they can close in 2 weeks.
Yeah, cash is, there's a whole other story. Cash sometimes we got to get into.
We're extending one of our closings. I just found out today because we need a little more time to get finished on the other end.
Well, you have to understand the lenders are learning too, the processors and the large corporations. We're all learning.
Yeah. Well, Jill is also here representing the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors on today's show. And Jill is the chair this year of the 6th Annual Rogue Valley Food and Wine Classic. It's March 31st at the Inn at the Commons that evening. And you started that right at the beginning. You're like the ground floor of that thing, aren't you, Jill?
Actually, there were 3 of us that started it, Cerise Stevens, Barb Pulver, and myself. And we took it on as a project because we saw the need for families that didn't qualify for some programs. It actually was built on a model that started in Portland. The program is originally, all the assets go to the Home Foundation, which is an Oregon Association of Realtors fundraiser.
Their foundation,
Correct.
OAR.
Correct. But the important thing to remember is that all funds remain local. And that's why we partnered with Access to have their input as far as qualifying the different families that want to participate in our program.
So you came up with the idea. You all came up with the idea. The RVAR board obviously had to sign off on that and say, okay, Jill, you and Charisse and Barb, you go do this, right? They just said basically go do it, right?
That's right.
And here you are. Look at this. So here you are 6 years later. The event has outgrown where you originally started. Isn't that true?
Yes. Our original event was at the Rogue Valley Country Club. It was a lovely event, but there was not enough room for the people that wanted to participate. So we went to, at that time, the Red Lion and set up in there. And I'm happy to say we have sold out every year, and this is our 6th year. And we keep increasing our funds that we get to donate every year, thanks to the great participation of the community.
As one of the founders, how did the partnership with Access? Because it's one of the neat stories we're able to tell. There's a need in our community. An organization and another organization combine forces to raise the money and apply those funds as properly and to the biggest impact that you can. How did that partnership form, and what was the need that was identified that RVAR said we can help with this?
Well, the Oregon Association Foundation actually works directly with the companies. So we were never going to go out and just find families. We were going to work in partnership with a company, existing company in the Valley. And what better company than Access? Yeah. They are outstanding. And of course, Realtors have participated with Access for years in their first-time home buying classes. We've been on the board, just a lot of commingling with Access. Yeah. And I should also mention Habitat for Humanity. They are also recipients. So those are the two kingpins in this valley, and we knew that they would get the job done.
Yeah. And they've got the expertise to make sure those funds go right to work.
Yes.
And Access is one of those groups in town, isn't it, that has a great reputation, right? Never been stained. They don't see them on the front page, the Middle Tribune, but they seem to have really settled into their role as the actor of taking these funds and doing the screenings and identifying people in need and doing the work there. I think that's really work. Well, the recipient is, we say Access, and that means Tamara Foley. She's a housing specialist for Access, has joined us in the house today here at KMED. Nice to have you here, Tamara. You're kind of new to the Valley a little bit, aren't you?
I'm newly back.
Yeah, newly back.
Newly back.
Yeah.
Correct.
You have a background, Joe, that interesting about Jill, about Tamara, is that she has a background in affordable housing areas and veterans housing and all sorts of housing areas that I guess represent underrepresented, underserved people.
Correct. I'm currently seeking rentals for veterans.
Right there. Talk into that. There you go.
Okay. But I have a long history in the real estate industry of one type or another. So.
Yes. So is the housing issues that we talk about on our shows as acute as you see them from your stand as what we seem to see and hear from on our point of view?
The entry level rental housing is very competitive.
Entry level.
Yeah.
New housing, rental housing, or what?
Rental housing.
And how what's the status of this? We heard that it's less than 2% rental occupancy, that you can't find a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. We heard stories about last week, wasn't it? Gina and Trevor Boucher were telling us about some of the people that they got dumped out of places. There was just horrible stories about this thing. So tell me some of that. What do you know?
I could use a lot of 1-bedrooms myself. We have a lot of single veterans in the Valley, and that's who I'm trying to house. We house veteran families as well. We have a grant to do so. But small 1-bedroom rentals are very rare.
If I'm maybe an owner or a landlord or have several properties, what are the advantages? There are probably obviously advantages to working with you. These are guaranteed funds. These are good, solid renters that you're going to take on and have in your property.
Access cuts the checks, and the client is case managed. So they have a big sister, big brother.
Yeah.
How many veterans are accessing this program?
There's probably about 140 on the list right now that are trying to find housing.
That are on a waiting list, right? A waiting list for this?
That are in the process and are getting qualified, yes.
Well, that seems like a lot.
Well, we don't have that many rentals out there.
Where are you going to put them?
We had a very good December. We housed 30.
Excellent.
And we had a week in January that we housed 8. So that's amazing in winter.
Yeah.
With holidays thrown in there and stuff like that.
And when you say you find placements, Tamara, for them, where are you located? Where would you find 30 housing units? Where would they be?
I'm looking for mom and pops, actually, mom and pop landlords, primarily.
Yeah, okay.
I'm looking for all landlords.
Yeah. And I would say that just kind of piqued my interest, if I were a landlord, that program might be a really solid, where I don't have a lot of worries about the performance of the renter, and it also sounds like a renter that would give me some longevity and not, could really kind of.
And you don't have to take all the phone calls.
No, thank you.
If you hand it over to us.
Yeah, I'd be glad to have you take those calls.
Now, you also said you got a grant, right, in support of veterans housing. All right.
It's a SSVF grant, supportive services for veterans and families.
Okay, what does that mean for someone out there, a veteran who's listening? What would that? Why would I be interested in that?
A veteran that is qualified has at least 1 day of active duty, no dishonorable discharge, under 50% of area median income, and willing to work with a case manager. So we can pay rent, security deposits, utilities, assistance, job hunting, case management, etc.
Is the issue of veterans housing or veterans homelessness, is it as acute as sometimes you read about, or sometimes it goes over your head and you put it out of mind? Is there a real problem here, Tamara, that you see with veterans housing?
It's huge all over the country. All over the country. And we've got this same grant is available in Portland, Klamath Falls, Salem, Grants Pass. We're all working on it.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like with all there aren't that many veterans that we should at least be able to help one group solidly, right? And veterans seem to be that group. It seems like it's going in that direction, but boy, it sure takes a long time if you have 150 people still waiting to get something.
There's unfortunately a lot of stories too of other veteran services that have been lacking or could do a better job to fulfill the promises we made to these people that served our country, and that was the promise to them in return. All
right, what else you got? Programs there that Access has, that some of the funds that ARVAR is going to be coming into this soon. What are some of those that people might want to take advantage of if they know about them?
Well, Access is the community action agency for Jackson County. We're a private nonprofit organization, and this is our 40th anniversary this year.
40th, wow.
Our mission is to help alleviate the effects of poverty by providing services that help families to succeed. We have three main areas of focus: food, shelter, and warmth. So shelter or housing services make up about 2/3 of what the agency offers. We have a variety of rental programs, affordable rental housing, foreclosure prevention, and pre-purchase programs, to name a few. So we're the certified HUD housing counseling agency, both for Jackson and Josephine County. And that means that we have to require and adhere to a strict set of standards for education and training for our counselors.
Those are the strict HUD rules, right? That we've heard about. Yeah, those are.
Yeah, it would be compliance.
Yeah,
compliance.
And how is there a shortage of HUD homes? Remember, HUD is not, in some ways, is a pretty good deal for a landlord if you want to do that, correct? Because it pays for it. Do repairs on properties as well out of some of those funds. So is that a good?
Well, you may be talking Section 8, which is through Jackson County Housing Authority.
Okay, I may be. Okay, I get them confused.
We're a different agency.
Okay,
correct, yeah.
What do they do, Joe?
Housing Authority is building the new development downtown, the new multi.
Oh yeah, by the Holly Theater, right?
They traded off some of that property over by the Don Meyer Fronew Park over there. So they are actively engaged in creating housing.
They're building it for
and
people.
That's where the HUD vouchers come from. Okay. And the families in need in that respect are kind of apply and go through the process.
Access is not going to build homes. They're going to be the mediator to get you a place, find you a place that.
We actually do own rentals, and we have the approval to build 17 units for veterans in the near future.
17 units for veterans. Mm-hmm. Is it difficult to?
That's exciting.
That is. Is it difficult to get that in Medford? I mean,
I think they've been working on it quite a while. Again, I've only been with the company about 8 months.
Yeah, we're asking you all sorts of things. We're all news reporters. We're just grilling you. We want to know this.
Well, it's interesting. There's a lot of opportunities, and I think our listeners are going to be maybe catch some ears out there.
Well, one of the things
that might be available to them.
One of the things we found, both of you, is that there's nobody in charge of housing in our county. I mean, the governments, they kind of mess with it a little bit here and there. Yeah. They zone it, but they don't really they don't
approve it. Yeah.
They make it difficult, in fact, maybe to build it too. But we need multiple unit apartments. We need duplexes. We need fourplexes. I mean, on and on it goes. And we don't seem to be getting anywhere there. We can go build $1 million place, over here on the east side, and that's okay. But where are we going to house all these people that are coming to our valley? Are you seeing that? I'm just asking both of you a question, both Jill and Tamara. People are coming here, aren't they? I mean, we're seeing an influx of people. You're seeing that for First American.
Definitely, yes. And I remember years ago there was a plan that actually Brett Moore developed his Twin Creeks project on, called Livable Oregon. And it was really hot in Oregon for years. And it was based on a high-density development that was linked to transportation. And I remember Brett coming to my Rotary Club and talking about it and explaining what a wonderful idea it was, not only for traffic control, but also multiple types of living situation. I know high density is still in the dream of most city planners, but they're met with constant resistance.
They are, aren't they? I
Yes.
mean, that's really the problem. There's no question there. What about homeless housing for the homeless? Tamara, is that a problem in Jackson County? Do you see that? Do you get pressure onto Access to act as some sort of a homeless housing authority also?
Well, again, it's a competitive market because anything that's funded through a grant or also through the housing authority has to meet standards that are affordable. You know, they've got to be entry level, and as there's more competition in the rental market, it's harder for the very first entry level people to rent.
Yeah.
So the second tier can't move really because they can't afford the second tier. It's just like the buying market.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of a spiral and it's out of control.
Market dynamics,
Nobody can really stop it. We've got a break coming up here on the Real Estate Show today on the 12th of March of 2016. We're talking to the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors about the big Food and Wine Classic coming up in affordable housing and all sorts of things like that. Joe Brett and Pete Belcastro here. We're coming right back to KMED right after this. Real Estate Show rolls on KMED this weekend. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you here today. And thanks for joining us. You know, next week here on the show, Colleen Padilla from the So Ready is going to be here, the Southern Oregon Regional Economic Development Association. We're going to talk about that mix of jobs and real estate. You know, I always find that really fascinating because if you don't have any jobs, you're not going to have a good real estate market because people don't have any money, right? And they've been really working hard, you know, there at So Ready. We just attended their Southern Oregon Business Conference. So we'll get some insight next week about how that's going. You know that?
We're kind of the untapped gem on the West Coast as far as economic development. We're trying to line it up and get it right, and it'd be interesting to get an update on that.
And when you think about the economy and the issue, and I know you get mad at me every time I say this, but the issue of recreational marijuana and what is happening with it, I mean, we're seeing a multi-billion-dollar industry growing here in our midst. It's going to transform, I think, our valley. Anyway, but that's in the future today. We're talking with Jill Tompkins, who's from First American Title. Jill is a business development officer there. She's also the chair this year of the 6th Annual Rogue Valley Association of Realtors Rogue Valley Food and Wine Classic, and she's one of the founders of that thing. I love those stories because you take a risk and look what you've accomplished. It's amazing.
I've got to think that one of your most important jobs is to sample the food and the wine, so that you're sure that you have that quality control of what is presented the night of.
Well, actually, to keep my girlish figure, that is not what we do. What we like to do.
Do you need volunteers, maybe?
Sure. We'll call you up next year. What we like to do is keep it local. We have wonderful wineries, vineyards around here, breweries. We even this year, for the first time, have a cider company.
Right. Yeah.
And an Immortal Spirits company. And so we are diverse. It started out as the Food and Wine Classic, and we had plenty of vineyards. But this year we've branched out a little bit, and it goes all the way to Joe County, and that's it. We don't bring in anybody from Willamette or California.
Well, the restaurants and the vineyards
Absolutely.
are all local ones.
Absolutely.
And that's its draw, isn't it? It's one of its big draws.
Right. And the restaurants vary. We don't have 5 Chinese restaurants and 6 Italian restaurants. We have a little bit of everything for everybody's taste. Last year, in fact, we had our very first sushi stand, and that sold like hotcakes. It was one of our most popular. We also have desserts, and we have hotels, hotel restaurants, all the way up to gourmet restaurants, and of course, R&D sandwiches. We always have them there.
Now, you also have a big auction as part of the deal, right? You got a silent auction and an oral auction, right?
We have an amazing oral auction this year. We are auctioning off a home stay. I shouldn't say a home. A stay at a home. A homestay in Costa Rica.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. And then there's rumor that we have another couple of stays coming our way this week, possibly Mexico. But I know for sure we have a couple of beach trips, some furniture. The merchants around here are so generous.
Talk to me about beach trips in this rainy, cold week in the Rogue Valley.
But you know, we went over there a couple of weeks ago. It was beautiful. Absolutely
That's what I'm saying. Talk to me. This is good timing.
and just so you know, one of the big auction items there at the thing on the 31st is an Italian dinner for 10 from you and me. From Gino's in Glens
That's
Falls.
a good at dinner. I gotta tell you.
So
I've been on a few of those.
Yeah, we've been giving those away for years, and my God, they've raised thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So we're giving one to Arvar this year, and
Thank
so
you.
some
Thank
realtors,
you.
somebody lucky's gonna buy that.
We come to your house.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I pretty much do the cleanup
Part
in
of
the
it, too.
kitchen. Yeah,
No, Joe's cleanup.
I'm lower level help.
Yeah,
but it's Pete's family and their recipes and their
No, it's
restaurant
awesome.
from Klamath Falls. It's a really good deal. Yeah, it's a
right.
fun night.
Well, and your enthusiasm is exactly what makes our event so much fun. People love to give, and they give special things.
Yeah.
They don't just write a check, and they don't just say, oh, yeah, here's something that's been sitting on the showroom floor for 6
Right.
months.
Yeah, we'll give it away.
They
Yeah.
give it out of their heart, and so our items are unique, and they're fun. We also have the Rogue Suspects. They're going to be playing, and they
Good
have
choice.
a huge following. Dynamite. They're actually one of our sponsors. They donate some of their
some of their time for
Yes.
it. Yeah, see, people give, and I think that's the one thing I really found about realtors and the whole industry is that when you ask, people give, and people come forth in so many things to do it. The money goes to Access, which then uses this money, according to Tamara Foley, in pretty special ways, right?
Absolutely. We have, in the last 4 years, helped over 65 families with these funds. So we help educate the consumer so they can make the best informed decision. All of our participants have classes and workshops that they have to.
Because you have to take the classes at Access, if I remember this right, before they will give you any. If you qualify for some of their programs, you have to go to these classes, I believe, before they will actually write it off on you,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Which is smart.
Right.
Okay, I like that. Okay.
Well, they help you with budget and credit and working with a realtor, and they have to work with a realtor.
Local
That's
realtor
good.
and local lender.
To get the funds.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And the funds are used for. Can they use the funds for a particular thing? I know it's $1,000 limit, correct? But can they use the funds then for what in the transaction?
Down payment, closing costs.
Down payment. Okay. Closing costs. All right. Well, that's.
Those two big
Those
things you need.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
two things that, and $1,000 is $1,000, and I think that's really a wonderful thing. I wish more people did it.
Think of how many people I've worked with that coming down the stretch, $1,000, $1,500. Where's it going to come from, and how they're going to get their hands on that? It can really, make or break their deal. They're putting everything in their heart and soul that they've got into it.
Yeah. Now, how does someone, Tamara, get into the Access system? I mean, if someone's listening to us, or many times our listeners know somebody who can really use the help there, what would they have to go through, or how should they proceed if they think that they might be able to qualify for some of these things?
Well, we have a Access Home Ownership Center, and the phone number is 541-779-6691, extension 355. And they can always go to our website, which is www.accesshelps.org.
Now, you've been working with this type of housing a long time. When you moved down here from Portland, you said, and you worked with affordable housing up there, what was your reaction to what you saw here when you came into the Medford area or Jackson County?
Well, up there, I'm used to multiplexes.
Large complexes.
Correct.
That
16
affordable. 6
stories, 6
stories.
stories.
That would be a little big, yeah.
You do have access.
That would stand out in Medford.
Yeah, it certainly would. There's more elevators, more accessibility for people that are disabled and one floor level living. So it's a totally different market.
And what did you find here, though? What do you think the biggest needs are here that you found since you've been here? I know you haven't been here a long time, but what have you seen, or what are you hearing?
Entry level housing.
That's the thing. And
the need is there, both for purchasers and renters.
And age group, does that vary in terms of that? Is it younger people seeking this thing, or is it older retirees seeking this kind of housing? Or who is
I think everybody.
Okay. Well.
And as people age, they like one level.
Yep.
So their physical needs change.
Yeah, well, and we've done programs, on was it lifelong
Aging
housing, aging
yeah.
in place,
Yep.
and how we can stay in your home longer if you can.
Don't think I haven't been taking notes.
Oh, geez. Well,
That clock is ticking.
Well, it is. And I'm working with a fella right now, who's trying to get out of a big house to a smaller place because he can't take care of it anymore. We're all going through that, as you know. But I think you're right. Finding that next place has been the most difficult part. Not selling your house. I mean, you can sell them right now. I mean, they're going off the market like crazy. But it's the finding the new place you want to go to that seems to be putting a real cog and slowing down the whole market. Is that, you think that? I mean, I that's what I'm seeing. And they are coming from, people are coming from everywhere. I think that's the other thing that we...
a lot of new homeowners in the last 10 years are just hanging on to what they got and are just thrilled that the market's come back for them. And not a lot of incentive to move or move on.
In just the January, the figures that are interesting to me is that the hottest markets actually in terms of pending sales, Joe, are really in White City. Does that surprise you?
No.
West Medford. That doesn't surprise probably anybody. And Phoenix. Those are the three markets that have the biggest increase in pending sales. So, and it's more affordable in those places, isn't it?
And Southwest Medford has a lot of really new construction that's by the day is coming online and coming on the market.
All right, we're with Jill Tompkins from First American Title and Tamara Foley from Access on the Real Estate Show today. Got one more segment to go. The Rogue Valley Wine and Food Classics is our topic today, and affordable housing for all. We'll be right back after this. Real Estate Show continues here on KMED. It's the 12th of March. Pete Belcaster with you here today. Next week here on the Real Estate Show, we'll talk to So Ready about jobs and real estate and how that's going on in Jackson and Josephine counties. 2 weeks from today, we'll talk about mortgage interest rates. So we'll see what's going on there. I still can't believe that those rates, despite what was so much talk about it, and then the Fed raises that little rate by a quarter point and the interest rate on housing drops. In the mid threes it is for 30-year fixed. That's really quite remarkable, as you well know. And as long as those interest rates stay that way, I just don't think that this housing market is going to cool off any, because you can get a loan. I mean, that's a real important thing, as you know. Today here on the Real Estate Show, we're talking with Jill Tompkins, who's a business development representative from First American Title and is the chair of the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors' 6th annual Rogue Valley Food and Wine Classic. It's on March the 31st this year down at the Inn at the Commons. And actually, Jill's one of the founders of that. It was you, Barb Pulver, and Cherise Stevens, right?
Cherise Stevens,
yeah.
Yes.
And look what you've started. I mean, look what three people decided that we can do something, make a difference, and look at the success of it. And why, Jill, I'm curious as to why do you think it's such a success? I mean, why are so many people coming? I mean, you're selling out. What is it that draws them there?
Well, I think the first thing that draws people to the event is giving back to the community.
Yeah.
Not only in donating auction items and their time. We have a wonderful committee right now of about 8. And so, yes, there were just 3 of us that started it,
Sure.
but we have had so many helpers along the way. Kathy Fisher from John L. Scott,
Right,
she
yeah.
works with you. She is just an amazing procurer of anything.
You can't tell Kathy Fisher no.
No, you can't.
You can't do it.
No, you can't. And I think she's going to join us for your show next week. So amazing group of women and men who just really want to work and support Access, Habitat for Humanity, and honestly have a lot of fun. We have probably 20 each of food and beverage vendors, so a total of around 40 this year. And the Rogue Suspects, of course, for entertainment. We also have balloons, and if you buy a balloon, every balloon has some sort of prize, so you don't lose. And just a lot of fun things. And, real estate is one of those industries where you don't all come to the same office at 8 and get to know each other. You only get to meet each other when you have a transaction.
Right.
And so this gives realtors, lenders, title people, and the community a chance to mingle and network.
Yeah.
And it's not a business function. It's a fun event, and everybody loves to come.
Yeah, it brings the industry together with the community together as
Yes.
well, and celebrate really housing and the issue of home ownership and
Absolutely.
the issue of private property rights and all those kind of things that we all hold so dear to us. Well, I know it's going to be a big success, obviously, and we're going to get you back afterwards and go over that, because it's a lot of money that's going to go out, and a lot of money is going to go into Access at the home foundation of OAR. That's going to benefit a lot of families. And I guess, Tamara, it's the families really that are the beneficiaries of all this, isn't it? And I suppose when someone gets one of the grants and those things, it's a wonderful feeling, isn't it, when you can do that?
Absolutely.
Oops.
And we actually have 2 other down payment assistance programs also.
Still? Okay.
So with the one from the Realtors, you can kind of do a 1-2 punch and maybe qualify for all.
Really?
And
Okay.
people should know that they are a first-time buyer if they have not owned in 3 years.
Right. You may have owned a home previously,
Correct.
but if you have not owned a home for 3 years, you are considered a first-time home buyer.
Right.
I know there was some, we're going to run out of time here today, but I know there was some rule changes by the Oregon legislature in terms of rental housing this last session, what they just finished up. I know that one of them, which is going to affect landlords and tenants, is that if you're going to raise a tenant's rent, it used to have to give 30 days notice, and I believe effective July the 1st, it's going to go to 90 days. So people need to be aware of that because of abuses. People were raising rents and this and that. I can't imagine, Tamara, what it's like in Portland in the rental market in the city, because I just read all sorts of stories internet stories about the terrible housing conditions in Portland. There isn't any, and it's really causing a lot of problems for people.
There's a lot of flipping, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
People were getting notices and whole buildings were getting moved out, and then they were rehabbing and re-renting at much higher prices.
And
So
it'd be really
it was hurting.
It'd be really bad, when they have signs outside on your window, "No Californians apply," kind of things like that. We don't want to get to that point again in our state, but we really are in kind of I don't want to say it's a crisis, but we certainly are in a tight environment for housing. I mean, and I don't think on the horizon, and this is where you give me your personal opinion here. On the horizon, is there any lining? Is there any sun at the end of the tunnel here, or are we just going to continue to go with this kind of desperate situation that we're in?
I think renters on the West Coast are scrambling.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't think that's going to change any, is it?
Well, we need to do more building.
We need more building. Well, we didn't build anything, as you know, Jill, we didn't build anything for 5 years here.
No, but it's coming.
Yeah?
We have a lot of developments in the works.
Yeah?
I think a lot of the builders were being very smart in the fact that they were holding back because things weren't selling, and rather than flooding the market, they cut back on what they were doing. So now they're playing catch up. There's usually waiting lists for new construction. And so the other thing that's interesting is they are trying to keep a cap on it so our market doesn't get totally out of control like it did 8 years ago.
And some of the new housing, I know Trevor Boucher was telling us last week, he's involved in the Anjou View Apartments in Southwest Medford, which is like 17 housing units, 17 lots, of which they were going to build in around the $230,000 to $245,000 range, which is a good range for new housing. I mean, if they get much higher than that, it really then starts to squeeze the people in the range that needs it the most, is what we usually find there. So hopefully that won't happen. So we'll see. Well, before we get out of here, okay, Food and Wine Classic, Into the Commons, it's coming up. And I know you guys are all set for it, right? I mean, you're all there.
We are set, but we, of course, would take any kind of donations.
More donations?
That anybody would like to participate. If you would like to buy a ticket, our reserved seats have all sold out, but there is general admission. And as I mentioned, it is not an event where you walk in and sit down. You move around and network. We will have additional seating around the perimeter of the room, so you will be able to rest. You just won't have a table. And
it's going to be a great event. We're going to got to go.
Okay.
And they can find a ticket at calling Aardvark. Can they do that?
They can do that or check in with www.roguevalleyrealtors.org.
Okay, that'll do it for the Real Estate Show today on KMED. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you next Saturday here on KMED. Pete Belcastro for Joe Brett. Have a great week, everybody, and God bless.
You've been listening to The Real Estate Show on KMED AM and FM radio, presented by John L. Scott Real Estate of Southern Oregon, along with All Cities Property Management, the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, Ditech Mortgage, the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District, and the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. For guest information or to watch a past show, visit us online at realestateshoworegon.com. Join us again next weekend for Southern Oregon's one and only Real Estate Show on KMED.